afternoon. We thank you all for your patience. My name is Angela and I'm to be your MC for today. I'd like to share with you first greetings from our 30 farmer organizations across 13 Pacific Island countries and territories. Maloe lele, kia orana, aloha, bonjour, halo olageta, talofa, halo olaketa, bon dia, halo, kasale lie, iakwe, Maori, Nimbulavinaka. To open our side event this afternoon, titled Partnering with Farmer Organizations for Greater Impact, we would like to invite Lofan Pomano to share a prayer with us.
Thank you, Angela. Feel very honored to be given this great opportunity. Even though I'm not a talatala myself, but I'll be a talatala for this afternoon. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you with gratitude in our hearts as we gather for this important side event during the 2025 Pacific Week of Agriculture and Forestry. We thank you for the beautiful day, the sunshine, the breath of air, for all the good things you have bestowed upon us. Lord, we thank you for bringing together our leaders, our partners, farmer organizations, and of course our beloved farmers from across our Pacific region. We acknowledge your presence among us, and we ask for your guidance as we engage in discussions on how we better partners with farmer organizations for greater impact. Inspire us to speak with wisdom, to listen with open hearts, and to collaborate in a spirit of unity and respect. Lord, bless the hands that till the land and those who support them, the farmers, the communities, the leaders who work tirelessly to ensure food security, sustainability, and resilience in the face of great challenges. May this gathering bear fruit, not just in words, but in action, so that together we may sow the seeds of hope, equity, and shared prosperity across our islands. Bless Lord Fafanua, His Excellency, and each speaker, every participant, and the outcomes of this session. And may all that we do today bring honor and glory to you and benefit to our Pacific people. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Maloa pito lofan. Good afternoon. On behalf of the board, staff, management, and members of Pacific Farmer Organizations, we wish to acknowledge and thank the royal family and the people of Tonga for their warm hospitality ever since our arrival in your beautiful country. We extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you, and thank you all for joining us today. This event reflects the combined effort and partnership of Pacific Farmer Organizations, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, and the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT. We are honored to have in our presence today our chief guest, Lord Whakawhanua, His Excellency the Australian High Commissioner to the Kingdom of Tonga, High Commissioner Brett Batley, the IFAD Country Director, Chandra Semekto. We have Ministers of Agriculture, Permanent Secretaries of Agriculture, representatives of the respective government arms, representatives of development partner organizations, member farmer organizations of PFO, one and all, thank you. Over the course of the next 4 hours, we are going to recognize how farmer organizations are key development partners. And this is only possible through the multiple partnerships with government, private stakeholders, our farmers, and the like. At this juncture, for opening remarks, I would like to invite to the front of the, at this juncture for opening remarks, I would like to invite a key farmer in our network, Peter Cow, to share his remarks. Peter is the Director of Farm Support Association. He's Pacific Farmer Organization sole member in Vanuatu. And it's an organization which has been in existence for close to 4 decades. Peter's extensive experience within agriculture, particularly with women and youth programs, has boded well for Farm Support Association. As one of the founding members with the Pacific Farmer Organizations Network, Peter currently sits as a board member, and I'd like to now invite him to the podium.
Thank you, MC. And thank you for the opening prayer. As the farmers say, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. I stand here before you as a member of PFON, but also my heart is a farmer. We are PFON, we are farmers helping farmers. As farmers, we are not used to talking in a soft, talking with the people. Our main communicators are sea, land, air, and forest. And that's where we belong. May I take this time to thank EU, first of all, and IVAT, or IVAT, for your support. We would like to say thank you very much. As farm organizations struggling out there, we would like to say thank you very much for your support. And having said so, we would like to take this time as well to thank the TVAT for looking where the farmers are located, where the farmers are. So thank you very much, TVAT, once again. And may I continue to say that as the farmers, it's where everything comes together. It's where everything comes together. For the IVAT and EU-funded project, we have come to an end, but I would like to say that we are continuing with the activities with the help of our project CRF, which will be funded by DFAT. And it is from our previous FO4ECP project that we've learned lessons, especially along the climate change. We would like to adopt that and take it further into our current CRF project. I stand here, behind me, you can't see them, but as our MC said, there are over 50 farm organizations behind me, about more than 100,000 individuals, both women, men, they're all behind. And I'm the only one standing here trying to voice, trying to talk on our behalf. I may not fully cover them, but I hope with these words of thanks, one or two of them, if they're listening, I've tried my best to voice them, but again, it's like 100,000. It's a lot to talk on their behalf. But I hope that I have said a little bit about who these people are behind me. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Peter. To next deliver opening remarks, we will hear from Chandra Semekto, the IFAD's country director for the region, serving as the regional lead for the Pacific. His strategic leadership in fostering partnerships that strengthen food systems and empower vulnerable communities across the region sees him closely working with the Pacific Island governments. Chandra.
Honorable Excellencies, respected guests, colleagues, friends, farmer organization family, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here, to join with you all here. It's just really good. I think the weather is also in our side now. And first of all, I'd like to thank the government of Tonga, also people of the Kingdom of Tonga for the hospitality. I remember last time we met in Nandi from the last Pacific Week of Agriculture. This is very great opportunity that all agriculture and forestry actors come together at the same time, at the same place. Especially this event, and thank you for PFON for organizing this event. I think it's very important where we come together at the same room here to discuss how we can make difference, develop the rural community and agriculture sector together. I think this is something that we cannot solve by ourselves. We need to work together, and Pacific is very unique in terms of the challenges and also the opportunity is different with other part of the globe. Even the actors is also a bit different. I think that's where the PFON as a farmer organization and its member strategically put itself in a good position to facilitate this changing. And PFON is not only a farmer organization, but most of them is also farmers. So I think it's very relevant to work with them. First of all, I would like to thank also DFAD, Government of Australia, to make this event happen is through PIRAS project. So PIRAS project is Pacific Island Rural Agricultural Stimulus Facility, where DFAD, Australian government and IFAD co-financing the project in 6 countries. And it's towards the end, by December in the completion. Through this event through this project, we also learning how we can work together. And it's very important because it's a joint and create multiple multiplier effect, not only by ourselves. And PIRAS working in the 6 countries mentioned before, and most of us working closely with the PFON members. And IFAD, we've been working in Pacific since 1980s. So we were established in 1978, and since then we work closely with PFON. Long way before PFON at this stage before, because we have what we call Global Farmer Forum. So IFAD organizing Global Farmer Organization Forum. Previously, I think it's every 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle, and now we start from the regional level to global level, and PFON is previously under Asia Farmer Organization Association. Now PFON already get at the position that is very well recognized globally. So I think that's also recognized that PFON, in terms of its member, also start to strengthen their capacity as well. I think this is a very good venue that we can discuss what we have achieved and what we can learn from our experience and how we can strengthen our collaboration. I just want to stop here. Probably we can discuss more details on the next session. But again, congratulations to PFON and all the partners that are already contributing to this event. Thanks again, DFAD, for the good collaboration that we have together with PFON. And hopefully we have a good and fruitful discussion. Thank you. Malo Apito.
Thank you so much, Chandra. We as an organization, as a network, are grateful for the relationship that we've enjoyed with IFAD ever since our inception as a legal entity in 2013. I'd now like to ask Kyle to provide the mic to our chief guest, Lord Whakawhanua, to convey his opening remarks. If I may just share, making history as one of the youngest ever members of Parliament in Tonga, just 24 years of age, Lord Whakawhanua later became the youngest person to ever be elected as Speaker of Parliament, the youngest presiding speaker in the world. He has played a key role in conserving Tonga's unique land tenure system and champions greater representation of women and youth. Lord Whakawhanua. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. I turned 40 in March, so I don't think of myself as being young anymore. I think I'm more like youth adjacent, more like it. I just wish to first acknowledge our gracious hosts here, Carl, as well as Peter, and who just spoke before me, and of course Country Director Chandra, and fellow speaker from Samoa, of course His Excellency Brett Beckley, who's one of our gracious donors from DFAT in Australia. I'll be frank, I'm not a farmer, and so I don't know what I can contribute. I'm a policy maker, I work for the government, I've been Speaker of Parliament for the last decade or so, and it's important that I show my face here today because without food, no one's going to be here. Food security is pivotal, it's part of what we need for life, and because of the changing world that we're in, there are competing geopolitical tensions happening, there are economic implications that have very serious impacts on our islands, and of course there's the changing climate, which has an impact on our food security. And so I'm here because I support the work that Farmer is doing, and of course the organizations that are represented here from Tonga, specifically Mordi, Nishi Trading, and the Growers Federation of Tonga, because without the work that they're doing on the ground, we won't have science or data-driven policies to work off from. And that's really the foundation of the work that's being done here, and the impact that will have on our people in terms of food security is immeasurable. And with the changing climate and with the changing seasons, the warm seasons will get warmer and the cold seasons get colder, and the rainy seasons get longer and the droughts get more droughty. That's basically what happens. And in the face of that, nature has to catch up, and sometimes we have to accelerate that adaptation. And only through science we can do that. And I think the pivotal role here of indigenous knowledge is that we know what works in our islands. And a lot of that needs to be translated into markets. It needs to be translated into common practices by our farmers. And from a technical standpoint, we are here as government, as legislators, to support the workers of our farmers. The work that you are doing, the work that's been conducted and supported by initiatives funded by Australia Aid and our multilateral partners is quite critical. And it is for our survival, and we have to do it because we have no other choice. And so from an international level to the regional to the local, we have to ensure that all of this is harmonized through legislation, through policies. And as politicians, we have to ensure that the money is going where it's supposed to be, and we're not just giving lip service, but the farmers are being enabled and given the environment to flourish because of food, because of health, because of all the outcomes that our people require. And so I just want to congratulate all of you for participating in these forums, and I would like to thank the Government of Tonga and of course the gracious donors for making the space available and giving you the platform for this to happen. I want to thank the organizers for giving me the time to be here. It's definitely an honor and a privilege for me to be part of this program and of course the side event today. I would like to get a follow-up after this of the outcomes of the discussions today, just so that it would help inform us in Parliament when we have our discussions. As I said, I'm not a farmer, but I would like to know what the farmers are bringing to the table and how you'd like things to be changed. And of course, as a Parliament, we need to be responsive to our constituents, and the farmers are an important part of that. So I'd like to congratulate you all for a wonderful program, and thank you for doing what you do, and of course the farmers who are represented here by Peter and all the stakeholders. It's really wonderful for you to be here in Tonga. In Tonga it might be raining, but for us, rain is a blessing. And I think you all know without water we won't be able to grow much. So thank you very much, and ofalahia to all of you. Malo Peter.
Malo Pito, Lord Whakawhanua. We are so very grateful for your support and the ear that you provide to farmers to enable policy. Thank you immensely. The celebration of partnerships is so very important in development, as we recognize the work of organizations and individuals in progressing communities. A recently formed partnership between the Australian Government's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and Pacific farmer organizations has seen an extension in an Australian funded or DFAT funded climate resilient farming project within the Pacific. Today, as you will see on the program, we are going to host a signing ceremony for the DFAT commitment to the project for the next 4 years. It's the first time that Pacific Farm Organization has entered into a direct partnership with DFAT, and we're immensely grateful to the Australian government for the next 4 years for providing this commitment. Before we witness the signing, though, I would like to invite the Higher Commissioner, Brett Batley, to share remarks on the project.
The Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Tonga, Lord Whakawhanua, to all the leaders of the departments of agriculture and the teams that work on agriculture, Andrew Tukana, David Jabon, Chandra, Oliver Mace, Peter, Kyle Stice, Suani Patolo, a good close friend of ours here in Tonga, and Florence. And to everyone here today, thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this. It gives me great pleasure to be here for 3 reasons. Firstly, it's wonderful that Tonga is hosting everyone from across the region here, including during its Pacific Islands Forum chairing year. Secondly, there is no better conference to come to than one that talks about impact. There's a lot of conferences, so I'm pleased that your session is focused on actually what you're doing to make a difference. And the third reason is that I know that agriculture is the backbone of all island economies. I've served in Papua New Guinea, in the Marshall Islands, worked on Solomons, and now here. I know that when we talk about locally led development, when we talk about private sector development, when we talk about community resilience, when we talk about community infrastructure, when we talk about export opportunities, when we talk about small loans, when we talk about science, when we talk about business enabling environments, these all come back to agriculture. As you're well aware, the opportunities are enormous in agriculture in terms of impact for communities. But there's also challenges. Climate change is a critical threat to agricultural development in the Pacific. The changes in rainfall patterns and changes in temperature makes it difficult for farmers to plan ahead and deliver long-term food security. Australia recognises the role that climate-resilient agriculture plays in addressing complex problems, like improving nutrition and livelihoods for farmers and rural communities across the Pacific. That's why we are proud to partner with the Pacific farmer organisations to support their climate-resilient farming program implemented in 7 Pacific countries, including here in Tonga by the Growers Federation of Tonga. And Peter, when you say 100,000 farmers are who you represent, I know that carries a huge weight of those communities that they also represent. Australia already committed $1 million Australian to support the Climate Resilient Farming Program last year. In its first year, the program benefited 16,800 farmers in those 7 Pacific countries to implement rapid adaptation activities on their farms. Tonga, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Timor-Leste and Vanuatu. Here in Tonga, GrowFed are working with schools on climate change awareness and distribution of seedlings and tools. And as foreshadowed, it's a pleasure for me to announce today an additional $3 million Australian for funding from Australia for the Pacific farmer organisations and their farmer members to continue supporting this. Locally tailored climate solutions are essential for a prosperous, resilient and inclusive agricultural sector across the Pacific. Through this program, Australia is investing in the strength of farmers to address a critical challenge to their livelihoods and well-being. The Climate Resilient Farming Program aims to provide more than 84,000 smallholder farmers with greater information and access to climate-resilient agricultural technologies and practices. Our support has a key focus on gender-responsive and inclusive actions that strengthen climate and disaster resilience, particularly in the food, water and energy sectors, so that all people can lead productive and healthy lives. We are committed to supporting our Pacific partners in realising their goal of an integrated, healthy, regenerative, secure and enabled future for agriculture and forestry in the region. And that's in line with the Growing the Pacific strategy. Our approach is built around listening, respect and developing a genuine partnership with farmer organisations, with rural communities, with the private sector, with NGOs and other development partners, and of course with partner governments. And I can assure you here in Tonga, agriculture is regularly discussed between myself, the Prime Minister and others. We see great value in supporting farmer organisations to mobilise their members and implement locally led development solutions. Here in Tonga, we're partnering with Māori to support the Tonga Australia Resilient Communities, the TARC program. This is a new program that we want to make sure that we're supporting at the community level and for all aspects of resilience, including on agriculture. It'll provide resources to Tonga's villages to implement their development priorities for climate and economic resilience defined through their own local community development plans. Australia is trying to do much more on locally led development. Australia also supports other agricultural development programs in Tonga and across the Pacific, such as the Market Development Facility, Farmer Plus and ACIR. And I'm so pleased that the Regional Research Symposium was held last week with such a great atmosphere and great outcomes. And we, Australia, and I know others, New Zealand and others, would certainly want to take forward any good ideas that came out of that. Your participation today will give us more insights to the impacts of climate change in the Pacific as you share your stories of resilience in agriculture. These will help us to understand your experience and can help shape our approach to supporting climate mitigation and adaptation. All science on agriculture is important. Thank you for being here today and we look forward to all the contributions. Malo pito.
Maloa pito, Commissioner Batley. We thank you for what you have shared and for the continued support of the Australian government. We have Lilo Maiava Florence Saanga of the Women in Business Development Incorporated farming organisation in Samoa. They are the key lead for Samoa for the CRF project. And I would like to now invite Ms. Saanga to share her remarks on the project in Samoa. Thank you.
Talofa, malo lelei, le fio lawa fionga, le fonga fono, ale malo te leo Tonga. Ladies and gentlemen, all of the members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellencies, and all of our fellow farmers. How about another round of applause for the $3 million? I stand here before you as someone who has been a recipient of this fantastic initiative in Samoa. Women in Business was established in 1992 by a group of women, and even though our initial focus was on women, it became very clear to us that we could not just focus on women without bringing the entire family on the journey. So we repivoted and we started to focus on families. So with the CRF program in Samoa, which we have implemented, we have actually helped 600 odd families, which equates to about 3,500, if I were being very conservative, individuals, when you're looking at an average family of 4 or 5. But we all know that in the Pacific, there are a lot more than that. The programs which we undertook and which we led were to actually sit down and have talanoa sessions with our families. These are the vulnerable families which were identified in the community as those who were living very close to the coastal areas and who were likely to be threatened, would be the first people to be impacted by climate change. Sat down and had talanoa sessions with them. We started talking about what they would want, and firstly, whether they even know anything about climate change, firstly, and what they know, if anything, about climate resilience. It became very clear that there wasn't a lot of knowledge out there, so the partnership was basically started from a place of no knowledge to where we ended up with providing climate resilient crops like yams and cassavas to a lot of these families, as well as working with them, including microfinancing and potentially looking at using their families who are living in other areas of Samoa to grow some of those crops so that if and when their particular areas were hit, they at least still had food supply that were grown elsewhere. We are going to continue this program of work, and in the next 3 years, we're looking to actually work with an additional 300 families. And one of the things that we picked up through this engagement with our families, the 600 families which we engaged initially, they shared a lot of the traditional knowledge which they had relative to being able to forecast when storms would come, when a tsunami would, and when an earthquake would occur. So for the next 3 years, Carl and Your Excellency, we are going to partner with our Ministry of Environment and in particular the Department of Meteorology so that we can capture and record these stories and then have our Department of Meteorology sanity check and look at this from a scientific perspective, because as the theme of this week's Pacific Week of Agriculture, it's to look at how we can actually move forward, regenerate, and how we can use technology so that we become more savvy and use the new types of technology that are available to assist with our farming practices. So, saying that, we look forward to continuing to work with our partners in Samoa, like the Samoa Farmers Association, so that we can all benefit from everything that we do. And if we get funding through the Australian Program of Work, through the Pacific Farmers Organization, we enjoy entering into partnerships with our colleagues, because it's only then that we can approach this in a holistic way and ensure that everyone benefits, not just because you're a member of WIPTI or a member of SAFA'a. This is also my prayer to our farmer organizations. Please make sure that you spread the love if and when you get those types of assistance, because let's face it, some of us are better at asking for assistance from overseas than others, but if we are really true to wanting our people to benefit from all of this assistance, be it technical, financial, or otherwise, then we need to do the right thing by them.
Malopito Misanga. Just drawing on what Ms. Sanga shared on traditional knowledge, we had the most amazing opening this morning where we heard from the children on their 13-month calendar from here in Tonga. It was really quite an experience, so thank you. For the signing ceremony, I would like to invite High Commissioner Batley and PFO Board Member Peter Cow. to sign the document that's been prepared. I do apologize, there are limitations of space in the room, so I'm going to have to ask you to come up to the podium to sign, please. So, Commissioner Batley, thank you.
Oh, signing here.
Yes, sorry, sir.
That's okay.
Limited on space. Thank you very much, Commissioner Batley and Peter Cow. If we would like to invite the speakers, please, if you could take the place within the audience as we set up the room for the next session, as we hear from farmer organizations on their impact stories. Thank you. Partnerships, I invite Kyle Stice, the Executive Director of Pacific Farmer Organizations, to share on a paper which he is presenting at the upcoming PWAF's meeting. It is history in the making for farmers, but I'm going to let Kyle share on exactly why that is so. Thank you.
Lord Whakawhanua, Commissioner, and everyone, we're so thankful to be here. In fact, in 2017, at the first Pacific Week of Agriculture, we were also there, but our space was a bit outside, and it was in Vanuatu Farm Support Association. We were hosted, and we were talking about climate adaptation, but from the outside. And I'm very happy to share that our farmer organizations now are much closer to the inside, and thanks to a lot of lobby and advocacy, the heads of agriculture will be hearing this short talk about the contribution of farmer organizations to agriculture development. And again, I'm happy to kind of speak on behalf of all of our members and share a few stories. And then, in fact, you will be hearing much more data in the next couple of presentations. So we all know that rural people, which is 3/4 of our population in the Pacific, derive their livelihoods primarily from agriculture. And for us in the Pacific, these are mostly or entirely family farmers. Next slide. We like to throw around a lot of statistics, but in reality, these are not just numbers. These are the women, the youth, the elderly, and as Peter said, sometimes it's hard to bring that human element into our discussions, but we're not just talking about 100,000 blank faces, but indeed these are the backbone of our economies. So we think about farmers at the center, but in fact they're not just burdened by one thing. We talk about this threat nexus when we think about our rural people. We do have climate change, very important. We do have food security and NCDs. And it's these three interrelated threats that are impacting our rural people. And so as we think about carrying out work in agriculture, in climate adaptation, we also have to think holistically, that we are looking at our work through more of a food systems lens. And Lord Whakawhanua, this is one of the things that we talked a lot about in research symposium, is that we can't be no longer thinking in silos, but we put our rural people at the center, and these are all these interconnected threats. Next slide, please. So very simply, in case you don't remember anything else, this is our decade-long 3 key messages that we bring to policymakers, is that our solution, Pacific solution by Pacific people, is that we focus our agriculture development on our traditional crops, staple crops, fruits and vegetables. This should be our priority. That we also focus our development efforts on improved traditional agriculture. That our focus is on local food systems and on value chain development. And that we focus on strengthening local organizations to deliver local solutions. And I was very thankful to hear His Excellency, the High Commissioner, talk about Australia's commitment to localization, and this process, I think, is ever more important here. So as we've seen, the Pacific over the last 2 decades, there's been a rise in farmer organizations. Not that they weren't there before, but all of a sudden they have a seat, they have a voice, their work is being pronounced. And this is very, very exciting. Next slide. There are enormous amount of solutions. We could spend 2 days talking about it, from the Cook Islands with keyhole gardening, from agroforestry in Fiji to the Vanuatu nursery and the rural training center models, again engaging youth in the Tutu Rural Training Center, the famous Tell a Woman program in Fiji, which uses women as this mechanism to go and tell other women and to spread the gospel, if you will, about what sustainable backyard gardening can look like. Next slide. We see value chain development, we see using technology for marketing, and we see a lot of work engaging local communities with farmers to provide more nutritious food into schools. So this is just a snapshot of all of the innovations that are coming out. These are local solutions by local people. So our proposition is that farmer organizations are essential for these key things. 1, for tapping into traditional knowledge and innovation. Getting to communities in a way that is culturally appropriate and equitable through the farmer organization, so that we can tap into this important knowledge. For providing key services, enhancing the work of government. Also for helping to amplify the voice of farmers. Our hosts couldn't invite 100,000 farmers here, but because they're organized in their countries, that we can help amplify the voice through their farmer organization. This is one of the roles. And also to helping to bridge this gap and extend the reach of government and development partners. We're not here to replace or work alongside, but wherever we can go, we can extend that work further by collaboration. Next slide. This is a kind of a visualization. You know, traditionally our governments and development partners would go directly to farmers with a technology or an innovation, and you're limited by the number of extension officers you have. But when you take that same innovation to a farmer organization, you have this multiplier effect. So this is this model of extending the reach and going further. We also think about the flow of information. So great to have a government representative here developing amazing policies, but how do those policies get translated down to the farmers? policymakers, coming to farmer organizations that then can translate that information about programs and policies down to the grassroots level, local language, local thing, and then the same way that the farmer organizations can bring that information up. This is a critical link. Next slide. Also, these important services that we know are the backbone of agriculture development, extension, and research. Next slide. We see a traditional model where our extension would go directly to farmers. And again, we're only limited by, the number of extension officers we have. Our statistics are showing in some countries 1 to 200, the ratio extension to farmers. In some countries, 1 extension officer to 5,000 farmers. It's not enough. But by partnering with farmer organizations, government can help extend the reach of their extension programs. We've been talking a lot about research, and the traditional model of agriculture research here is centralized. We have research stations and we do that work. Again, we're limited by the amount of human resources that we have on these research stations. Through farmer organizations in a decentralized, where the farmers are leading the research, where they're hosting the research, we can take the same amount of resources and we can magnify them, we can amplify them. But not only that, we're putting the research much closer to the farmers. Instead of them having to travel to a research station or attend a field day, they can just look over their fence at their neighbor. And so this is part of this paradigm shift in both agriculture extension and research. Next slide. I guess there is this value also in connecting local organizations nationally, regionally, and globally. And our organization does that. We're an information network. We're a connector. Next slide. The idea is that you can be a farmer in the Marshall Islands, very remote. If you're connected to a local farmer organization that's connected to other regional farmer organizations through PWAF, that we have this kind of connection, this ability to share information, to share innovation. Oftentimes, when I ask people what do they appreciate most about PWAF, and it's about learning from each other. It's about sharing our experiences, our information, sharing in our failures. And so this is what's really valuable about being a regional network. We're very excited to kind of, like I said, show a lot of growth. We were officially registered in 2013 after operating for about 5 years. And we've seen this growth. And the growth first starts, the roots are on the bottom, from 6 countries to 8 countries, 9, 12, 13. But as we see deeper roots being placed down and more connections at the national level, it's provided more opportunity to mobilize resources. And as we've heard, development partners want to make sure that more of their money is reaching the grassroots. And this is the value proposition that farmer organizations present. Since our inception, our resource model has been firm that 70% of all resources that we receive should be re-granted to farmer organizations. That we don't work with farmers, we provide the resources to our members, they do the work on the ground. And then at their level, that 90% of that money should go to boots on the ground activities. We want to turn the development sector, which has typically been very top-heavy and only little bits trickling down, we want to turn the triangle upside down so that we have more resources going all the way down. And you can only do that when you partner with grassroots organizations. Okay, here's a couple of real quick slides. We just finished 5 years, as my board member said, working with the European Union and IFAD. And I'm sorry, it's a little bit hard to see, but over the last 5 years, with support from the European Union, we directly reached through our activities 56,000 farmers. This is working across 44 value chains. And we conducted extensive impact assessments with 7 out of the 16 members, and our research data showed an 86 percentage adoption rate. 86% of the farmers that had access to training or innovations reported an adoption. They did something with it. This is, those of us that work in agriculture development know that this is an enormous and very high adoption rate. And it's because it was being brought to them by a trusted source. It was being brought to them by farmers, people that are doing the work on the ground. And this is a very important value add that our local members bring. Our impact assessments also shared that across those farmers that adopted, that the average change of income was 859 euros per farmer. In some cases, in some value chains, it was much bigger, depending on the intervention. So altogether, the total economic benefit of farmers involved in this project was 40.6 million euros. And again, that is a very high rate of return. And I'm happy we've now completed all of this analysis, submitted our reports. So I'm happy to share a little bit more the details of this. But next slide. But I just wanted to kind of illustrate a little bit how working with local organizations, working with the private sector towards the right priorities can have this enormous impact. Through our FO for ACP project, even though we work directly with 56,000 farmers in the top corner over there, we assessed that on average, those farmers shared their information with at least 2 other farmers. And we have this multiplier effect. We had some programs like in Timor-Leste, where the farmer organization is multiplying seed for distribution by a government program. And this program almost collapsed about 3 years ago. And because of the intervention of FO for ACP, the farmer organization was able to secure the contract with government. And as a result, over 120,000 farmers received seed, maize, rice from the government under that contract, direct beneficiaries. And so again, just kind of showing the dynamic that we can create to have a bigger impact and extend the reach. Next slide. Value for money. Maybe for some of you it seems like there's plenty of money around, but the way our members see it, money is getting tighter and tighter, and we need to be operating with excellence, and we need to be operating with efficiency, and we need to be operating for impact. And we're very happy that with the 7.4 million euros provided by the European Union, that we are able to bring this economic benefit back to our members of 40.6 million. And again, this is because farmers are the private sector. When they determine the priorities, when they identify the activities, the interventions, these are things that are going to have meaningful impact. Next slide. But it's not enough. Even with these indirect beneficiaries we like to model out, we believe that we have reached potentially indirect through our policy work about 1.26 million. But if you look across the Pacific, our farmers, representing 70% of our population, there's about 9.3 million farmers. So really, we've only just scratched the surface in terms of the amount of, we need more farmer organizations, we need more partnerships with private sector, more partnerships with government. Next slide. CRF, critically important. I won't talk too much about it. You're going to hear it. But this is our extension of this to look specifically at our climate adaptation efforts. Next slide. It's been a long journey. We developed this framework, and now with the framework in place, partners like DFAT are directly responding. But we're also very thankful that other partners have come to the board. So far, since the launch of the framework in 2022, we've mobilized 3.5 million directly for farmer organizations. Next slide. Farmer-led research. I don't want to talk too long, but I wanted to include this slide because we have a project with the European Union to work on a traditional crop that has been neglected. It's not at the top of everybody's discussion, and but for rural people, breadfruit is the one that is always there. And if there's drought, even taro can dry up, but breadfruit continues to persist. And so we want to revitalize and develop this product so that it can help with our food security, but also for livelihood opportunities. And I have a whole suite of projects. My colleague here, Mohinesh, is running this in 5 countries. Next slide. So this is my last one, my call to action. And this is the same one that we're going to be presenting to the heads of agriculture. Please prioritize traditional crops, staple crops, fruits, vegetables. Value traditional agriculture practices, put them at the center, and then let's work to enhance them. Invest in our local food systems and value chain development. And then we need to continue to strengthen our local organizations to deliver local solutions. I think that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle. And we will now move to the next session of the program, where you will hear directly from farmer organizations on how some of those figures were obtained. But at this juncture, I'm going to invite my work colleague, Ely, to join me in co-facilitating this particular portion of the program. Ely's our policy advisor with Pacific Farmer Organizations, and she's also the current team leader for the Climate Resilient Farming Project. So please welcome Ely.
Would be a. Can you hear me at the back? I don't think it would be a Pacific meeting without any technical difficulties. Thank you, Angela, for that introduction, and I'm excited to join you this afternoon in co-facilitating this very interactive session we're about to have. Some great points raised by Kyle and the other panelists this afternoon, particularly having Pacific solutions by Pacific people and ensuring that our people are at the center of any development that takes place.
Yes, certainly. Kyle's shared some amazing figures, and when you consider our geography, we're a very unique region. When you consider that our collective landmass as Pacific Islands constitutes less than 5% of the African continent, yet the vast water around us actually is Africa 5 times over. You know, it really amplifies the situation we're in when you consider climate change, rising sea levels, and the other challenges that we have with market access, with the high costs of having to do business from the Pacific. So to share on how they are addressing these challenges, we always say our farmers have the solutions. We're going to invite up to share in this first part of this next session Peter Cow. You've met Peter already. He's from the Farm Support Association in Vanuatu, and he's going to share on how they're empowering women through vegetable production to improve their livelihoods. I would also like to invite Dr. Simsa of the Papua New Guinea Women in Agriculture Development Fund, and he's going to share on how they're also empowering women, but through an initiative through poultry. So please, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Angela, for giving me another chance to say few talks on a case study. So the biggest question is, would you, Peter? That's the question to me. Would you, Peter, resign as a member of PFON and you go into farming to make a living? Or would you resign from what the position you are in and you go into farming? Because that's only when it shows that you believe in farming. So many times we talk about life in farming. Farming is not easy. It's not easy. I just want to put this message across, that farming is not easy. Farming is not easy. My presentation on our case study, I may say too many words here, but I've got 3 or 4 key words that I would like to share with the room. First is the change. It's the impact. When us, the farmers, get help from our funders, what is that change? What is that impact that really changes the life of a single farmer? That's the thing. I may talk here, but Peter, you're standing in Tonga and you are farmers out there. But it's these farmers that are working the land now it's good to go and hear from them what has actually impacted your life. And these are very powerful. So I'm not going to spend my time in trying to introduce introduction. I'll just go straight to the point. When we received the fund, we bought vegetable seeds. There was this existing women's group that we gave them the seeds to grow, and we say, okay, grow the seeds, make some money, produce some food out of it, and we come back and see what happens later. So when we go back, they planted the vegetable seeds, they sell some of it, they ate some of it too. And what is interesting that I would like to share with you is they've gone ahead and generated some income from there. And for me, that's not the impact that I am looking for. I would like to take this further. What have you done with the money? That's the question. So what they have done is they formed themselves an microfinance scheme. That's the change. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And I said, okay, that's good. And the second question is, what are you going to do with this money? So it's like scaling up and scaling up and scaling out. This may not be the correct words to describe the situation, but I'm trying my best. So the next wave of impact is funding the relatives to pick fruits in New Zealand and Australia. And I said, yeah, that's an impact. That's a choice that you have made, not forgetting our cultural values. When we go into farming, that's where our social, cultural values come in there, which is most of the time is hidden. And I think cultural values, cultural obligations are just as important as responding to climate changes.
I also want to...
That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So as I mentioned earlier, we have a number of programs and we can ask the members question each.
Good afternoon, everyone. I represent the NGO group in Papua New Guinea, the Papua New Guinea Women in Agriculture, and I'm just so honored to be here to be the voice of our NGO group back home in Papua New Guinea. Partnering with farm organizations, for me in particularly, is quite very special because I've seen, just as a background, I was formerly in research, but now I'm a farmer back in the village. I retired from formal employment some 2 years ago, and now I am a farmer in the village, and I am assisting the PNG Women in Agriculture to work on some of the projects, which the Pacific Farm Organization has supported us in Papua New Guinea, and I count it a privilege to be here. What's the story? What's the impact story of PNG Women in Agriculture? The project team identified one particular intervention, and that was on poultry micro enterprise. Why did the NGO group identify poultry enterprise? Because poultry, in our view, was less labor intensive or low input as compared to other innovations, other farming practices in Papua New Guinea. Furthermore, poultry enterprise would provide a lot more income as compared to other traditional activities like cocoa, copra, coffee, oil palm, rubber. So the NGO group with the farmers went into raising broiler chicken to sell so that the members can benefit from them. Now, the amazing thing, or the amazing approach which the group had was they targeted women. And these women were either single mothers, or they were widows, or they were women living with disabilities. So for me, I salute PNGWA for that approach they took to target women folk who were under this particular category. Now, I'm glad they did that because culturally in Papua New Guinea, our women are marginalized. Our women don't have much say in the decision to allocate resources. It's mainly the men folk, who would decide how much funds they would access and use, and as well as land and labor. Land to us in Papua New Guinea is something which is very precious, and with the cultural system we have in Papua New Guinea, it's the men who decide how much land will be allocated for farming, etc. So women don't really have much say in that. So that's one issue which our women folk face. But in terms of contribution towards farming, our women folk, the women, they represent about 50% of the workforce. 50% of the workforce or the job for farming is done by women, but they don't really have much say in terms of decision making in resource allocation. I'll touch also on finance. It is quite difficult for farmers to access funds from commercial banks. The challenge for farmers to fill in all these papers to at least get a loan, it is just so difficult. So if it's women folk who are into this, into microfinance, you would understand the difficulties our women have. Now, I would like to touch also on the role of women, how they contribute towards family unit, the mothers in rural areas, caregivers. I know you all know what role these women play as caregivers. The mothers or the women are the ones who hold the families in their hands. They see that the home has got enough food, the home has got enough clothes. So they play a very important role. But the challenge we have is, once when we are faced with any issues like climate change, in Papua New Guinea we have got this long, prolonged drought, and once when we have such threats by climate change, etc., or even many months under rainfall, that causes a lot of stress on families, a lot of stress on women folk to see that there's enough food on the table for family members. So as caregivers, women folk have all these challenges to face. Now, given that particular background and situation in Papua New Guinea, PNG Women in Agriculture thought about the intervention, as I said earlier on livestock micro-enterprise. So with partnership and under the umbrella of the Pacific Farm Organization, with the funds which PNG Women in Agriculture sourced, they identified this vulnerable woman, and they bought day-old chickens and as well as feed to let these women folk to raise chicken and sell. So that was the intervention. The intervention was day-old chicken and feed to raise poultry for these women folk to raise income. And that was a pilot project in one community in Moraba province. The project identified 25 women farmers and gave them day-old chicken plus feed. What was the impact of this intervention? When I first heard about this from the PNG Women in Agriculture, I was just so happy. I was just so happy, when I heard about the testimonies, the impact of the project. I was told that the funding from PNGV into a broiler chicken project provided new income source. Most of these women folk, who were involved in this project they just were involved in gardening, planting the staples like taro, banana, etc. But when PNGV came in with the day-old chickens and feed, they were able to get training in how to raise broiler chicken. They also were able to raise chickens and sell that to raise income. Now, from the sale of poultry, there was 65% of what was generated was for school fees. 53% was reinvested in other micro business like piggery, as well as expand the poultry production, as well as funding into cocoa, watermelon, corn, and even trucks and trade stores. So these are some of the, I'm told to end my talk soon. So, but look, these are some impacts. Now, in one farmer raised, well, the average was about 7,000 kina per farmer, and this was money which they have never seen until they went into poultry production. So the financial incentive by PNGVIA and the Pacific Farmer Organization transformed communities. It contributed towards building community resilience. It provided education opportunities, and if I can just say, 2 women in the group were able to send 2 of their children over to university. And that to me is a very good testimony. All right, now I think I'll end here, but look, the intervention by NGOs, the intervention by Pacific Farm Organization supports families. And families, as you know, families are the pillar of a society. So when we focus on women folk, we are talking about building a nation. So to me, I think that is very, very special. And furthermore, for us to bring change into communities, we have to look at NGO groups. And thanks to donors who have partnered with us in the Pacific Farm Organization, that the investment which you give to us is well used. So these particular solutions are local, I mean, for me to see what's happening with our women members, it really inspires me. I've spent over 40 years in research, and to know that the Pacific Farmer Organization has a change in approach to research and extension, that we are now into farmer-led research, and that really inspires me. So otherwise, friends, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share you what is happening in Papua New Guinea through the PNG Women in Agriculture.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for highlighting the need and the importance of empowering women in our local communities. I believe when you empower women, women rise, and when women rise, I believe this region will also thrive. We're not just going to be, you're not going to just be digesting information from farmers and farmer organizations. We're also going to be requiring you to give some sort of feedback and try to make this session very interactive as possible. So for the next session, I'll be inviting Kyle over just to take you through the live poll that we have on the screen. Kyle?
Yeah, thank you. So you've just listened to a lot of talking, and we're curious to know what resonated with you. What, with all of that talk, the big talk in the very beginning, which was amazing, and this journey, but then these really specific example of vegetables with women's groups and poultry. So we're going to ask you guys to pull out your phone, and if you could scan this QR code, and we want you to just write one or two keywords, something that has resonated with you. If you guys could pull out your phone, please. Because what we would really like is we'd like to try and get a sense of what's going on in the room. And so if you can input your words here, it's going to show up on our live poll. So if you can, please, it's just a very simple prompt. If you don't have any data on your phone, that's okay. Because I want you to then open up your bag, and inside your folder, there's a little sticky note. And I'd like you to write on that sticky note what is a little brief note or a couple of words, something that has resonated with you as you heard this morning's discussion. What's going on in your mind as you've listened there? Does everybody find a sticky note? Or did you scan a QR code? Okay, we've got a few words over here. Okay, so we heard and we were moved by women's empowerment. We were moved by the word grassroots. We were moved by the word critical, community, organization. Those are some great little contributions there. This is, again, what's the temperature in the room? What are things that people kind of pulled away a little bit? What did we hear over here? Working together. That was something that moved this side of the room over here. The multiplier effect. We're trying to figure out what are some of the things that resonated with you. We come from very diverse backgrounds. Wow, now we got a whole bunch more words. Livelihoods, reducing poverty, word of mouth, participatory, farmers as the private sector. We heard people really focusing or resonating around cooperation, bottom-up approach, tell a woman, partnerships, farm sharing. So these are some of the words that I'm so glad to hear, because these are the words actually that underpin all of the work that we do. You know, I was moved by the word synergy, which is that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, but actually that the parts working together create a greater impact than if they were to work individually. And this is certainly what we see when we partner with governments and when we partner with development partners. Does anybody else have one that I'd really like to see? Ooh, there's some cool ones over here. Empowerment, decentralized research through farmer organizations, farmer-led research, participatory. We're going to be taking all of these and we're going to stick them up on our board and try to capture these. Field demonstrations, poverty reduction. What did you write over here, sir? More chickens, diversification. Oh, not chickens? Oh, yeah. Fried chicken. Come back over here. Can you zoom in a little more? Outscaling. Again, we were obviously really moved by the targeting of our women in the community. And I love that both of our speakers didn't end with how much money did they make. Because for us, that's not actually the impact. What did they do with that money? And I applaud both of the presenters, and you're going to hear the rest of the presenters that invested in impact assessments, that went back to really talk to these community members. What was the result of what we have done? Because if you didn't do that hard work, and we all know it's hard work, we wouldn't have these stories to be able to share. And thank you for highlighting that it's not just about the money, and that it's not just about the obvious things to use money for, but a farmer being able to meet his cultural obligations or her cultural obligations is a big impact. So, oh, fantastic. Growth, social impact, ethical partnering, farm sharing, great words. And, but I think underpinning all of this is this word partnerships. And certainly we don't believe that farmer organizations are the solution. We believe that they're a part of the solution in an effective partnership. Thank you everyone for that. I'm going to hand it over, but we're going to walk around and pick up your stickers and put them up on this board so that we can capture these thoughts.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for taking us through that reflection. It just emphasizes, as Kyle said, we'll be hearing some more impact stories, just emphasizing just how farmer organizations are key development partners and can work alongside other partners to do what's needed for our farming communities. I'm going to invite the next two speakers up. We have Peter Tikai from Custom Garden Association in the Solomon Islands. Each of our farmer organizations has a unique feature, and for Custom Garden Association, they're known for their work in agrobiodiversity. So Peter will be sharing on germplasm sites and how it's helping to improve livelihoods as well as improve resilience in their communities across the Solomon Islands. I'm also going to invite Lilo Mayava, Florence Saanga. You've already heard from Ms. Saanga, but she's going to share on what WIBD has been able to do with funds from FO for ACP. Their particular farmer organization is renowned for work they're doing with people living with disabilities, but today she's going to share on how the improvements to their infrastructure help them to meet market demands from key buyers for virgin coconut oil. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, thank you so much for giving me a privilege to speak a little bit on what my organization is doing, working under this project that is funded by EU and also IFAD, that is on with PIRAS and also FO4ACP. Basically, I'm going to talk about germplasm centers that lead to increased income and resilience. Next. So between 2021 and 2024, KGA or Custom Garden worked with farmers to set up 9 farmer-run germplasm centers in 3 provinces in Solomon Island. That is in Central, Western, and also Choiseul. These germplasm centers are managed or run by farmer groups in these 3 provinces. What they do was they are collecting, multiplying, and also distribution of planting materials or seeds. And during this course of setting up these germplasm centers, they are also trained to manage the germplasm centers. So we provided trainings on soil improvements, seed savings, rapid multiplications, and also on pest and disease management, and so forth. And at the same time, we also held diversity fairs that bring farmers together and to these germplasm centers. And that is the time when we also do assessment or evaluation of these germplasm materials that are collected and also bulk or multiplied in these centers. The aim was to improve crop diversity in the food gardens and also to diversify, you know. So if you are thinking about climate change and if you are thinking about tissue culture lab, we are doing conservation on the field. So it's on a farm, on-farm conservations. So when natural disaster hits us or strikes us in any part of the country, we can source materials from these germplasm centers. And the activity, as I mentioned, is under PRS, and also APOPOECP is also supporting staff and also seed production capacity building. Next. So, yeah, we have diversity pairs that brought farmers, so you can see all these farmers come together with their, what they grow, what they produce in the gardens, and during this time they can showcase it, yeah, and promote it, and as well as share the planting materials to other farmers, yeah, in that particular germplasm sites. Thank you. 1,000 farmers attended the training so far during that period of time, which were undertaken at the germplasm sites. More than 7,000 received seeds or planting materials. That includes OP seeds or open pollinated seeds that was produced by Custom Garden under its planting material network and was given to these germplasm centers to further distribute or share it to other farmers or people in their communities.
But
Next.
I have.
We conducted, yeah, in order to assess the impact of what we have been doing, we used farmers' questionnaires. So we interviewed 76 individual farmers, 11 focus group discussions were held with farmer groups that are involved. 63% were female. This is a sample of out of 7,000 beneficiaries. Next. Yes, 7,000 farmers received seeds. 60% successfully grew the seeds. So that is around 4,200 people, of which 50% actually produce and sell the seeds to the local markets. And based on that estimated income, we try to estimate it across the farmer who received the seeds. You can estimate it that a total of income of $508,200 Solomon Island dollars, yeah, was earned around that period of time. That is around 55,366 euro, which is on average an income for a farmer of $12.65. We can also assume 1,068 farmers had additional produce which they can use for home consumption, and that contributed to food security and potential market of value of $406,580. Next. Yeah. I think that's all. Thank you so much.
Talofa again, how are you feeling? Do you want to get up and stretch for a bit? How about standing up and having a bit of a stretch, yeah? And that'll take up 2 seconds of my time. Have a good stretch. It doesn't help that there's been a lot of food out there. Welcome to the kingdom, huh? You will never go away hungry. Thank you very much. Imagine a world where people were free, were visiting each other, running in and out of each other's homes. We're sharing our fruits, our vegetables, our catch from the ocean, and we were earning a fair bit of money. because we were actually looking at new ways of fishing, new ways of farming, new ways of weaving, just innovative ways of doing things that mean the world to us, but doing it in a way which will not only improve the quality, but also enhance the economic returns. So imagine all that. And then COVID hit. We could no longer run in and out of each other's homes. We couldn't even give our neighbors the overabundance of fruit and vegetables from our own gardens, and neither could they. And our coconut oil, which Whipty had been getting from our farmers to send through to the body shop in the UK, was stopped because shipping, freight, none of that was happening anymore. In the meantime, Pacific Farmers Organization had been front and center in working with women in business to assist, not only from a technology perspective, from a training perspective, but also just from a quality and control and looking at enhancing the quality of what our farmers produce and develop. So for a few weeks, we came to a standstill. We had no idea what to do. In the meantime, our farmers' crops were still bearing fruit. And we had all this coconut oil, and I'm sure I have Leto Fapo New, Stephen Hazelman, who's in the room, who was the production manager at Women in Business. I'm sure he had a lot of nightmares as to what we were going to do with all of these products. So we came to Pacific Farmers Organization, and we said to them, look, I know you guys don't really invest in infrastructure, but in this instance, we really need your help. We need somewhere that we can store all of these, all the oil that our farmers have produced. More importantly, we need an outlet for our farmers as well, so that they can sell their produce without having to go to market, because we couldn't go to market. There were no markets allowed. So Maua app was developed by one of our technology companies in Samoa, and the Pacific Farmers Organization assisted in ensuring that that was subsidized. And we opened that up to our farmers and to our population. And they were able to actually, our consumers were able to order fruit and vegetables through that Maua app, because we couldn't go and visit. And it was used through Women in Business so that we can actually use our facilities so that we can then deliver these produce. It was the same thing that happened with our coconut oil. You know, we were finally able to bring in all of our coconut oil because Pacific Farmers Organizations accepted the re-pivoting of the finances so that we could actually deal with what was going on at the moment. So from a farmer perspective, the onset of COVID could have had even more devastating effect on our people. The fact that we were able to quickly acknowledge that we needed to do something, and the agility in which our partners came to our aid and assisted us and provided options so that we can continue the value chain and also ensure that our farmers were not left without, and that we had an outlet for all of these crops that had come into season. You know, it would have been absolutely devastating for us had that not occurred. You know, we speak of dollars when it comes to impact, but we have relationships with our farmers. When we started, 4 of us couldn't fit into their home. That's how small their fale was. Through a lot of partnerships in developing their farms, in working with them on the weaving of the traditional treasures of Samoa, as well as siapo making, they've now been able to not just build a new home, they've been able to send their children through the school and through to university. And some of those children are now working in the agricultural sector. That's the impact. When you speak of dollars and projects and money and all of those things, it means nothing unless your people benefit. Whether they benefit from a socio-cultural or socio-economic perspective, the key to it all is if our people do not benefit from everything that we're doing, as Carl said, what's the point? What is the point? Why are we even doing this? If you can transition a family from having very little to a point where they now have a bigger house, they have a bigger farm, and their children have been able to enjoy education all the way up to tertiary level, then we have certainly made an impact, and we have ensured that whatever it is that we do benefits the most vulnerable of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you both for your presentations. Thank you both for your presentations and sharing the stories from your respective countries. I think, ladies and gentlemen, a key message that I take away from this is that resilience looks different for different countries and different communities. And I guess that's something that we need to keep in the back of our minds when we're investing in adaptation actions, adaptation plans, and any interventions on ground when it comes to farmers and our communities. We saw from Solomon Islands the investment placed into the establishment of the germplasm centers and also the capacity building, the immense impact that resulted from the capacity building and the trainings that they had. And we also heard from Samoa about investing in infrastructure. So I request that everyone keeps that in the back of their mind when they go into this next session, when they reflect on the interventions and what kind of investment is important. So no one size fits all in the Pacific community, and I'm sure you're all aware of that. Just because maybe some interventions work well in some countries, they may not be as relevant or may not work as well in other communities and other countries. So with that, I'd like to again invite Kyle over to take us through the next reflection session. Kyle.
With so many stories, we chose to really pick on these two.
Development,
So we heard about these germplasm centers, diversity fairs. So I'd like you to ponder on that a little bit. And then we also chose to think about infrastructure investment. So downstream investment that created market opportunities. And so I'm asking if you could pull out a piece of paper again, and we would really like you guys to reflect from wherever you sit, maybe a government partner, maybe a farmer, maybe a research. Why do you think, or what words describe why this kind of investment is important? If you don't think it's important, you can write that as well. But otherwise, when we think about the two different, quite diverse kinds of investments in germplasm centers, which lead for training sites, multiplication of sharing of plant material, and then for the market infrastructure. And then I'm going to collect some of these, but also want to see you guys to share
achieve these SDGs by 2030. But unfortunately, we are not going to achieve those SDGs because there's a lot going on. I do see 15 minutes per day. In terms of the question that Dr. Kalakar gave me, if we look at the population dynamics, there's about 6.5 women.
A long-term sustainability impact for farmers. Dave, do you want to share a little bit why you wrote long-term sustainability when you heard about these kind of investment?
Yeah, sure. I usually work in the research space, and when we put together research in a co-design process, we think lots about the theory of change. It's a theory, right? But what we want to achieve is development impact. Okay? We think a lot about how we achieve this development impact. And it was really interesting to me to reflect on these sessions about how different partnerships, including PIFON, really create the enabling environment to have that sustainable impact. So don't invest in projects that are bounded by time and money, but invest in impact.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, that's something that resonated from the back of the room, is that we're not just investing in projects, but we're investing in organizations, and then that ensures more sustainability. Yeah? You can't have one without the other. They are interlinked. Oh, that's fantastic. Who wrote that one? You want to share what you mean the kind of diversity and the market access?
Yeah, my voice is pretty quiet, but I was thinking I work in healthcare, and the health organisation I work for also puts money into housing, which is also infrastructure, and I think unless you put invest in those areas, like without housing, you don't have the ability to carry it out. That's really resonated with that.
And we normal.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and sometimes we can often lean either one side or the other. Did you also kind of get the sense in which the community, the farmer organization really invested in the monitoring? Yeah? You know, Peter shared about the number of surveys, thinking about sample size, measuring these things. I think this is also really incredible and something that's hard to do externally. Yeah? But when you're based in the communities and you have these kinds of networks. Yeah? From Papua New Guinea, you want to share a little bit about why this infrastructure is so important, why that resonated with you?
We're really looking at strengthening land tenures.
So I'll speak on the fresh produce industry in Papua New Guinea.
In terms of transparent and fair.
The need, yes, I agree with the lady from CARE that they both work together.
Looking at conflict.
So in Papua New Guinea, the bigger need is for a national fresh food supply chain and setting up a system that will move highlands fresh produce to the coast and move coastal fish and coconuts.
But I'm just saying, you know, these are understanding the reconciliation of customers.
Right now there are different groups of farmers and transporters growing and supplying from the highlands to the lowland markets, likewise from the lowlands, coconuts and fish to the highlands. However, we need proper infrastructure, properly coordinated setup, for which we've now secured funding from the ADB and IFAD to the tune of 60 million US, and we are going to set up this infrastructure. And the thing of it is that once we've got this infrastructure set up, we need the farmers to be growing on commercial scale. They must use farm mechanization, they must use irrigation. We need the educated. No longer the subsistence farming will not deliver the volume. We need commercial agriculture, mechanization and irrigation. This is where our challenge is. This is where we will go.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, there's another note here that says infrastructure is good, but you need a resilient supply. And we know in the face of climate change, having diversity on our farms ensures, because we know that there are lots of pack houses around the Pacific that are sitting empty or have been converted to dance halls and community halls because they didn't have the supply. And so again, the interlink between making sure that our farming systems are resilient, and part of that is crop diversity, that these infrastructure investments don't just sit there like a white elephant. Fantastic. Anything else about this type of investment? It's quite diverse, and I think that's one of the characteristics of our network. Our network is very diverse. Okay. I like this one about farmer-driven solutions needed to be financed. Do you want to share a little bit?
So, my name is Debbie. I'm from Papua New Guinea. I work a lot with farmers. So what I meant by farmer-driven solutions, we've got farmers that want to process into flour. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the slicing machines or the hammer mills or stuff like that. And if you're going to invest in where farmers actually have their head in it, because otherwise you will have pack houses that are not being used, and you have stuff like yesterday we were talking about very expensive equipment that's sitting there and not being used. I think it is to process taro, and whose idea was it? Yeah. If it was farmers, they'll probably use it. Yes.
I love that. Whose idea was it? And when it's the farmer's idea, most likely the impact and the uptake will be higher. But how do we capture that? How do we make sure that farmers are the ones actually leading this? Start small and value chain, analyze first. Analysis first. Start small and value chain analysis first. I love that one. Fantastic. So I want to keep collecting these ones. And we have one more set of impact stories. Data infrastructure to enable biophysical M&E. Yeah, this is something our farmer organizations, I think, are really growing and learning in how to properly capture this. But as you can see, we have some great results. Angela, I'll hand it back over to you. And thank you, everyone, for these ones. Oh, yes, some more.
Thank you, Kyle. Just reiterating that, we can't do it alone. Farmer organizations are a partner in all of this, and we do need each other to, so that our farmers can benefit. So our final two stories to be shared. The first focuses on a key flagship activity within our network, which is farmer-to-farmer exchanges, whether this is regional to our nationals or whether it's national to national. So the first impact story is actually national to national and involves South Sea Orchids in Fiji partnering or working in an exchange program with Maori Tonga Trust here in Tonga, and Stephen Henry from South Sea Orchids in Fiji and Lofan Poman from Maori Trust Tonga are going to share on how they're empowering women through the floriculture industry. And after they share, I'll introduce our next speaker, who'll be on a totally different impact story altogether. So Stephen, please, and Lofan.
Sorry, I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I wrote everything down just to make sure I don't forget anything. Malo lele, bolovinaka, and warm greetings. My name is Stephen Henry, manager at South Sea Orchids in Nandi, Fiji. And today I'm going to share the journey and impact of South Sea Orchids, the Floriculture Support Association, and our work through the FO for ACP program. Our story is one of resilience, collaboration, and growing opportunities, especially for our farmers, many of whom are women in rural communities. To give you some context or history, SSO began as a family dream and has since grown into Fiji's leading floriculture enterprise. Prior to the mid-1990s, the floriculture industry in Fiji was virtually non-existent, with minimal commercial activity and most exchanges occurring through traditional barter systems. Through extensive trials, fieldwork, and research throughout the late 1990s, SSO was able to establish both a commercial farm and a central base of operations. At the same time, we launched what became known as our Outgrower program, designed to support and involve local growers in the development of a sustainable floriculture network. The Outgrower program empowered women farmers by providing them with planting material, training, and support to establish backyard nurseries ranging from 300 to 2,000 plants. They cultivated specific high-value flowers and sold them directly within the market. ensuring a guaranteed market and steady income while building a strong community-based supply network. This inclusive approach not only helps scale production to meet growing demand, but also created income-generating opportunities in remote areas, transforming floriculture into a viable livelihood across Fiji. In 2013, we established the Floriculture Support Association to support the growing network of backyard growers who joined our Outgrow program. This not-for-profit organization was to promote and develop the floriculture industry by providing and advocating for supportive policies and facilitating access to markets. It helps connect growers with buyers and supports innovation and quality standards. The association also fosters collaboration across the value chain and works with partners to strengthen the sector through networking and sustainable practices. It's safe to say that Fiji's floriculture industry is now in a much stronger position, with growers, middlemen, retailers, and customers all connected through a more secure and reliable value chain that is contributing to the economy and its people. Thanks to the FO4ACP program, we were able to deliver more than 20 workshops across Fiji in 2020, reaching almost 500 participants or cluster heads. These workshops taught growers how to cultivate orchids and anthuriums. They also learned to establish and manage small-scale nurseries, creating business opportunities from home. Many of these attendees are now regular suppliers of cut flowers to FSA. We now have 40 active cluster groups across the country. Each group has a leader who communicates with FSA and helps share information and training with local members. This has created a stronger network for growers, bringing structure to an industry that once operated in isolation. One of the most impactful changes is market security. Growers who sell through FSA are guaranteed a buyer for their flowers. This has built financial confidence in the growers and encouraged many of them to reinvest in their nurseries. Some started with just a few plants and now they manage hundreds of thousands. We have also created opportunities for members to connect and engage directly with customers by selling a variety of horticultural products. What began as an annual fair has now evolved into a new committee formed by these women members who are committed to continuing the event independently regardless of funding challenges. In July 2019, we held a national consultation where growers helped shape the direction of FSA. This gave farmers a voice and resulted in formal representation within our association. We have continued hosting one every year since after 2020. And in March 2022, we hosted the launch of Fiji's gender mainstreaming in agriculture policy at SSO, elevating the visibility of women in floriculture. Our overarching goal has always been to promote floriculture as a recognized commodity, an appeal we have constantly made at every consultation. While we've not yet fully achieved this goal, we have seen significant progress, including increased government support for women in the industry, the allocation of dedicated funding, and the establishment of a task force to support floriculture. With FO4ACP and PIFON's help, we've also invested in capacity building, with admin and strategic development. SSO has been able to engage with technical advisors and revised our strategic plan. We've expanded into agritourism, small-scale export, and looked into new product lines that we've looked into. All ensuring we are better equipped to serve our members. We've recently reinstalled and updated all of our technology, our website with relevant information for our growers to access. Our social media has tripled since the project's inception, helping us promote flowers and educate growers. Now, distribution of planting material. Over 10,000 orchid plants have been distributed to growers, some who received as many as 1,000 plants. These nurseries are helping boost Fiji's cut flower industry, which is still at times undersupplied. We've also conducted field surveys to explore setting up more nurseries to fill in the gaps in the market. The impact has been deeply felt, with more skilled growers, secure incomes, empowered women, and stronger industry voice. SSO's vision has always been to lead floriculture in the region and uplift our people. I think this is where I'm going to hand it over to my partner over here at Modi. So share on their project that we're in partnership with, and just to give you a little bit of a detail of what we're doing in Tonga as well.
Thank you, Stephen. I've just been informed by our timekeeper that I have 8 seconds left to talk. So I'm going to keep it 8 seconds. So just to build on what Stephen was talking about, the idea of us working in floriculture, it wasn't always we were always focusing on food security with our communities. But the idea came post-COVID-19. We were so engaged with the women with agriculture, planting vegetables in the home garden. But here in Tonga, we all know home garden vegetable is only seasonal from around March, April to late October. So the women were so engaged with planting, they wanted to again they approached us asking, we need something to do during the off season because we want to continue working. And while we were there still deciding what to do, they approached us again and said, okay, we know what we can do. We do floriculture. We work on anthurium and orchids. So that's a good example. It's with us Mori, we are all community driven. So with the idea given by the women, we had no idea how to grow anthurium, grow orchids. So what we always do, we always try to look for the good-looking partner in the Pacific, and that's how we came across South Sea orchids. The good thing with working with South Sea orchids through FO for SCP is they've been through the hard work. They've been through the dirt with all the lessons learned. So we didn't start from scratch. So we built on their lessons learned and on the challenges that they face, and they have supported us. So with anthurium, it was introduced to us here in Tonga around 2014, 2015. We identified some key challenges. The growers didn't have access to high quality planting materials. They didn't have access to a good facility. They didn't have access to the technical expertise. So we tried to address those challenges. So working with South Sea orchids, we managed to import planting materials from Fiji, from South Sea orchids. So right now in our facility, we have about 7 varieties of orchids with over 40 different colors of orchids. We have anthuriums and also over 15 colors of anthuriums in our facility. So with working with South Sea orchids, they help us. We create a WhatsApp group where they can see what we do in our facility in real time. So we keep updating the WhatsApp group. Stephen and Eileen, who's not here with us, they give us the technical assistance right away when we update our work. So just want to thank also IFAD and TFAS, because without the work that we are doing with the rural development through our current project, the Tonga Rural Innovation Project Phase 2, we were all empowering the women to come up with these ideas, and we try to facilitate those ideas for the women. So the good thing about working with the women is they're already driven up. So with floriculture, they were already doing it as a hobby, just doing it as a hobby to get away from the husbands and in the end of the day. So with us, we were trying to turn it from being a hobby to being a source of income for the women. So we piloted the project with FOFCP and also TIFA, supporting over 20 women to scale it up, to install smallholder nurseries in their backyard. The idea is for the women to be engaged in floriculture with anthurium and orchids. We give them the planting materials, give them the right training, give them the right tools, the right materials, and the right support. So at the end of the day, it will change from being a hobby to being their main source of income for their families. So, with all this great work that we are doing here with all the women here in Tonga, it's not just us, it's all with the partnerships and us joining the farmer organizations. There was always our goal and objective with joining the farmer organization is we have all this pool of knowledge that we can tap into anytime that we need. So without further ado, I think I might end there because I think my 8 seconds is way over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen and Lofan, for sharing on the work you're doing within floriculture, just not nationally, but within the region. Our final impact story is going to be delivered from a regional perspective. We've heard 5 amazing stories. from different countries across the Pacific, national level. We're now going to hear from a regional perspective, and I would like to ask Ili. You've already met Ili, but she's going to share on how climate finance has been mobilized through funds, through leveraged funds. So I'm going to invite Ili up. We always say farmers have the solutions. We've heard it several times today, but the support that they need to continue the amazing work that they're doing for all of us on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Nice to see you. Mohinesh has already started my timer. So I'll be the last presenter for this session, and I feel like it's my duty to be honest and transparent with everybody here. I am not a farmer in any shape, way, or form. The closest I've come to a farm is farming on my phone through my kids' app games. So please take whatever advice I give you with a grain of salt today. But I'm from the climate change background, and I feel like I don't need to be a farmer or an economist to realize the realities that farmers face and also understand the importance of the agriculture sector in our economies right now. So today I'll be talking around the issue of climate finance, but more specifically mobilizing climate finance for smallholder farmers in our region. And I don't think we can talk about climate finance or climate resilience without first understanding the vulnerability of our farmers and the vulnerability of the food sector within the Pacific region. So through the FO for ACP project, as you've heard from Peter, and I know Kyle mentioned it, farmers started discussing the issue that they were facing on ground in regards to the vulnerability, not only to climate change, but to other economic factors. Issues like the land issue, gender issues, access to markets. So these are the things that were highlighted by farmers through the FO for ACP project. So with that, in 2015, discussions began on trying to build the resilience of farmers within our region. This discussion and this consultation, this planning process was carried out thoroughly throughout the span of 6 years. So this wasn't something that was just a tick in the box trying to please the farmers or please any policy makers. Consultations was done throughout the span of 6 years. And after that 6 years, in 2022, the Climate Resilience Framework was finally launched. And ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud and pleased to say that this framework is reflective of the needs and the priorities of our farmer organizations and, of course, in turn, our farmers on the ground. So the CRF framework has 3 components. It stands on 3 legs. The climate resilient farming households, which is building the resilience of farmers and their communities. The second is ensuring farmers' voices are heard. And the third, stronger farmer organizations. I would like to just talk a bit on the second pillar, which is ensuring farmers' voices are heard. I think throughout the past couple of years, we've realized that although farmers' needs are important and what they bring to the table is also very significant, their voices in decision-making tables has not always been considered. In actual fact, most of the time they haven't even been invited to sit in these forums and these decision-making policy decision-making tables, not only within our own countries, but in the region, and also especially within the global arena. So it's evident today that we are trying to move to support farmers to be part of these discussions, and it's evident here today that we have farmer organizations being part of the Pacific Week of Agriculture, and they were also very vocal and presented a few posters highlighting their research and their realities on the ground last week during the research symposium. And of course, the third pillar is stronger farmer organizations. We also need to build the resilience of our institutions, not only regionally, but also specific for each farmer organizations within their country and within their country context. We saw something very positive from the CRF, and we were very pleased that donors realized the consultative process that we undertook, and they realized the importance of funding the activities highlighted in the CRF. So this is evident by the initial CRF funding provided by DFAT for the first year from 2023 to 2024. And now, as was signed earlier today, the funding that has been secured to continue the CRF activities for the next 3 years. So since its launch in 2022, as Kyle had mentioned, a little over $3.5 million has been mobilized to assist farmers to build resilience through climate change, through various adaptation interventions, and this all stems from the CRF framework that was developed. On the screen right now is just a pictorial of what has been received so far. So since its launch in 2022, of the 3.5 million that has been received, 50,000 was from FAO through the Farm Forest Facility. $500,000 was from the European Union through the FO4ACP project. 425,000 was again from the European Union through the ACA project. And of course, a little over 2.6 million was from the Australian government through the CRF project. The success of the CRF project, again, lies in the fact that these initiatives, these adaptation action, they were designed by the farmers for the farmers. Ladies and gentlemen, the farmer organizations have the solution to building their own resilience if they're given a chance, to voice out their needs and their priorities. And moving forward, we're excited to explore new avenues with everybody here and explore new partnerships to assist farmers build resilience in a more collaborative manner. Before I sit, I would just like to leave everyone with this last slide, just a statement to keep in your mind when you have your reflection session after this. Small-scale family farmers produce a third of the world's food and are on the front line of climate crisis, but receive just 0.3% of international climate finance to adapt. Family farmers are pioneering the solutions needed to tackle climate change and the food crisis, yet they are often sidelined by governments and overlooked by funders. And we hope through the CRF project, through the framework that has been launched, that we're able to change this narrative. Of course, working with everybody and not in silos. Vinaka.
Thank you so much, Eli. Just less than 1% goes directly to the farmer, so something to reflect on. So we're going to ask Kyle to lead us in the last reflection session for the day. Please, Kyle.
Okay, so what we're going to do with this next session is we're going to ask you to turn to the person next to you. So maybe the two of you, and we want you to have a little discussion with the person. So we presented what is fundamental to our model, farmer-to-farmer exchanges. And as you can see, two farmer organizations from Fiji and Tonga have partnered quite successfully. And then we've also shared a little bit about what we can do in mobilizing more resources for smallholder farmers. So I'd like you to turn to the person next to you, and I'd like you guys to each share with each other what story challenged you. So the question that I want you to kind of ask each other maybe is, what story challenged your thinking and why? And this is an opportunity to get to know the person next to you, but we'd also like you to write it down on a sticky piece of paper. You want to know a cool innovation? Who's ever used ChatGPT? Put up your hand if you've ever used ChatGPT. So, I can take a picture of this butcher paper, and I can paste the picture into ChatGPT, and it converts all of these words, these pictures, into text, and I have this really cool summary of the reflection from this paper and that paper. So if you've never tried photo to text, photo to transcription from ChatGPT, it's a cool tool. So anyway, this is why we want you to write these things down on here, and these are going to kind of help form or shape a little bit of the outcomes that we're taking out from today. So, does everybody have a partner? Do you have a partner? Or maybe your partner behind or over here? So, if you could ask, what story challenged you, your thinking, and why? So if you could try and write down a few of your thoughts, because we want to try and capture. You know, one group was really challenged by the idea of floriculture as income generating. So they were able to write that down, and something that challenged your way of thinking that you might have discussed. If you could just write a few notes down. Yeah. I have some more sticky notes. Very cool. And this one? From the last one. You have a few notes there? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay, so one of our local farmer organizations, Growers Federation, supplied some refreshments. Some local delicacies. So as you're talking, sharing, can have a little bit healthy food. It's healthy. Healthy, came from healthy soil. That's fine. At least we can capture a little bit of this. Oh, there, perfect. Okay, thank you. Hey. Wait a second. Do you guys have anything you want to contribute? Any notes, or are you still? I'll give you a couple because I'm sure you can have a few words. Here you go. In case you have a few thoughts, you want to write them down. Hello. Okay, does anybody have any other notes they want to share with us? Okay. Hello? Thank you. Okay, there's a lot of good sharing. We just want to try and open it up to the whole room a little bit. I've taken just this initial picture, as I mentioned, and I pasted it into ChatGPT, so like that, and then I asked it to transcribe. It's interesting to see some of the similarities. A lot of people were challenged by the idea of farmer-to-farmer exchange and the benefits of learning from each other. There was a comment that says, looking to incorporate this into our program. There was comments around the chicken, small-scale poultry, and developing it as a kind of a more circular and making sure that the farmers are maximizing the waste from the chickens, that they're looking at the feed. So again, we have all these diverse perspectives in the room. And as you were listening, you were thinking about different things. A lot of people were challenged by giving farmers a voice. And I'm glad that that was something that came out really strong, and the power of why that came out. We had questions about other parts of the world. I think we have also a friend or colleague working with Indigenous people in Australia, and there was a question, why maybe there's a little bit of a slower development in Indigenous people change in Australia. Maybe that was something that was on his mind. I think challenged about the contribution of these small-scale enterprises to tertiary education. That was something that came out a little bit. Some people their thoughts were going into scalability versus greater penetration in existing areas. So this kind of thing, what's better to do? So tons of really good thoughts. I want to pass the microphone around for a minute or two because we are here to also kind of learn and adapt our models. And as you can hear, we've tried to share some of the little experiences that we've had. So maybe this is almost like a little bit of like advice time or suggestions or recommendations as we continue to work with our members. So is there anybody from your conversation, anybody that has this kind of thought or recommendation that popped up in your mind that you think the farmer organizations in the region and their development could benefit from? Link to what resonated, link to maybe what challenged your way of thinking. We're going to have our last panel from our government and development partners, and we're going to ask them for recommendations, but maybe open it up to the floor. Aloisi, when you were listening and thinking about, I know you've been a part of this journey, for any thoughts or kind of ways that you think grassroots farmer organizations could continue in their growth?
Thanks, Kali. With the experience with working with farmers, one of the things that really, and is also coming out strongly with the reflection that you have shared, was the use of farmer-to-farmer exchange. Nothing beats farmer learning from another farmer. And that's really been a very effective way of, passing down the message, coming from a researcher's perspective, how things, we've always been discussing about researchers working in silos, extension as, the main mediator or the main translator of this research results to our farmers, which somehow has been really been a challenge, and also something that we needed to work through. As I was sitting through, this whole session, and the thought that it keeps coming to my mind is, where does the Ministry of Agriculture fit into this? Is there a way where the farmer organization to partner really closely with our Ministry of Agriculture? I mean, it's
across the world, in the Americas, Europe.
Or very few of them would take a bold step to say that the money from our donors, or argue the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, is small, however small it may be or large, it is a basis to grow a business linked to a bank.
Which are mainly calcium carbonate, limestone, dolomitic.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that kind of insight into the thrust of the Ministry of Agriculture in Papua New Guinea, a focus on commercialization, the farmers with an education, mechanization. Maybe just to try and answer Alois's question with an example, can I ask one of our farmer organizations to share how you work with government? Because I think it wasn't clear from any of those presentations. Is it?
I mean, thank you for the question, comment. For us in the Pacific, I, as a farmer, I would like to join by saying that not all the Pacific Islanders who claim to be the farmers are real farmers. But we've got to search for these real farmers. That's my comment. Not all the Pacific Islanders who claim to be the farmers, they're not real farmers. So we need to look for these real farmers. Who are they? Where are they? What are they doing? And let me pick Fernando for example. My director is here, with due respect. As a citizen for your country, we should know inside out of who our people are. Who are our farmers? And I think that's what I would encourage. Let's move forward with that. I mean, not understanding, accepting that not all the people in the Pacific who claim to be the farmers are farmers. Let's accept that. Me as a farmer, I'll accept that. And it is our
role and responsibilities to know our backyard, so that if there's anything that we need to extend to our countries, you know you are in a better position and you know you are looking in the right direction. I think that's my response. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Just before I go to Salah, so Steve, ChatGPT, after I collected all of those, I said, what were the top 3 most common themes? So the first was the value of farmer-to-farmer learning. So 5 different notes talked about the value of farmer-to-farmer learning, sharing of comparative advantage, sharing of experts who operate within the region. The second one, with 6 notes, was the role of small-scale farming and the importance of focusing on small-scale farming. So we can already see a difference of opinion in the room between kind of where we want to put our focus on larger, more commercial, or putting a focus on small-scale farming. And then the third one, where there was also 6 notes, was on basically the inclusion of local knowledge and perspectives. And again, this feeds into these questions about farmers having their say and things like that. So we'll just turn to another farmer organization in the room.
Thank you, Val. From my own perspective, from experience, more than us farmer organization are the leading hands of private sectors in farming. Now we are reaching more to the low-level farmers. Without us, the Ministry of Agriculture cannot reach those people. And we are linking what they are doing to the farmers. So we are playing a very good role as a farmers organization. Because let me tell you what I have learned, that some of these Ministry of Agriculture, they don't go all to the farmers that actually need the help for financial support, for tools and things like that. So it's our duty to reach out to those levels. So what we do, we extend our arms and we develop subgroups. So whatever funds we make it, go to subgroups, but we also encourage those subgroups to go straight to the farmers, to the MEF. We cannot leave the MEF behind, and that's reality. But we can take the lead. To be honest with you, we can take the lead, and the MEF can follow us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think, Aloisi, this is also this powerful message about, like, maybe not every farmer can attend every meeting from the Ministry of Agriculture or every training or field day, but they can, the farmer organization can help spread the message, the policies, the programs that are available. And this is it. It's not about replacing one with the other, but it's about collectively extending the reach. We just want to take whatever resources we have and extend it a little bit further. And we believe that this is one part of it. So I'm not going to brag, but sometimes our meetings are popular. One of the reasons that our meetings are popular is because we always finish on time or before time. So I'm committing to you guys that we will be out of here before time, because I know it's been a long day, and we have some really distinguished panelists that have hung around or just joined us, and we have some very provocative questions to ask our development partners and government officials. So with your permission, I'm going to close this little session over here, and then we're going to invite up our panelists. And I hope you guys enjoyed the refreshments. Does anybody, can you read what's on the sticker? There's a sticker on your cups, on your food. The sticker is trying to remind you that the reason you are eating and drinking is because there are farmers who are producing this food. They are growing it. Yeah? Thank you. I want to acknowledge Samoa Farmers Association. Samoa hosted the heads of Commonwealth last year. And through the coordination of Samoa Farmers Association, the caterers, the hotels, up to 1 year before the event, they organized the farmers to make sure that all of the leaders had access to fruit and vegetables that were grown locally. And not only did they do that, but we worked together to use the media so that the King of England, who visited, that he knew that the things that he was enjoying were produced by local farmers, but also that that farmer is struggling. And part of the reason that they're struggling is because of emissions that are leading to climate change, which are not coming from our farmers, but they are coming from farmers in developing countries. So I also want to applaud the farmer organizations like Sa'afa who are doing this work, and so thank you. Yeah. Okay. We are ready for our panel. Can you help me? We just move this one to the back a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, as we set it up, sorry, we had one more quick slide that we wanted to share with everyone. So go ahead, Ili.
Thank you, Lofan. Just while Kyle and the team are preparing for the next session, we're very fortunate to have partnered with a group of very brilliant students who are here with us. Young Research exploring climate adaptation support for smallholder farmers in the Pacific. Specifically, their research aims to understand how smallholder farmers access support, the role of farmer organizations in this process, and the systematic barriers that they may face. These two QR codes, if you would like to learn more about the research that they are carrying out, these QR codes will lead you to more information on the work that they're doing and the farmer survey that they will be conducting at a later point during their research. Inaka.
Thank you. Thank you, Ili. Yeah, how farmer organizations can partner with researchers to capture the voice of the communities. And I think it's great to be able to get some of this good data about where farmers are accessing information. So I think we just have one more panelist coming. But before I begin introducing the panel, I want to just share the name of our panel. And it comes at the end of all of these impact stories, all of this discussion. The name of our panel is So What? Now What? Okay? So we just heard all of these impact stories. We just heard all of this information about farmer-to-farmer exchanges, the importance of smallholders. So what? What does it, so what? And then, now what? So we have a very distinguished panel that I would like to pose some questions to, and I apologize in advance that it maybe is not a conventional panel, but instead I will pose some things that we would really like to glean. And we're very excited to have representatives from across government and development partners from both the South Pacific and the North Pacific. And so I'll start with Mr. David Tibon, who is the Chief of Agriculture from the Marshall Islands, based in Majuro. And I'd like to ask you, Chief Tibon, you know, we didn't talk about the North Pacific in this particular meeting, and we know that the context in the Marshall Islands and in atolls is very different. But we also know that farmer organizations exist there, and they're doing work. So based on your experience, what do you feel the role of farmer organizations can play in the Marshall Islands, and how should government and other agencies work with them to improve their delivery? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Kyle. Like Kyle said, I'm David from Marshall Islands, Chief of Agriculture, and I'm happy to, thanks for having me. Marshall Islands is facing unique challenges as an atoll, as an atoll nation. Despite that, farmers are active and play a key role. Given our status as one of the unhealthiest countries in the world, farmers are still playing their part in being there to help government. As farmer organizations, they help to do the work for the government on the ground levels. And fortunately, we have one of the active farmers on one of the main islands. We have Laura Farmers Associations, with whom we work hand in hand with, and they're there to help us. Like I said, given our status as rank as one of the world's unhealthiest countries in the world, our government is being proactive in reaching out to farmers' organizations in ensuring that people get what they need, and also to improve nutrition. And based on my experience, farmer organizations are essential key to this, because they help coordinate with farmers, share knowledge, support government on the ground level. They also build and ensure that programs are community driven to provide and from my own experience, farmers are not just participants. They are key partners, and key partners in addressing both agriculture and public health challenges.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tibon. One thing that I really heard come out quite clear is the problem is really big. And in the case that Chief of Agriculture was sharing, that this problem of NCDs, of disease, is so big, and so we need all of the help that we can get, and that the farmer organizations are contributing. And I love that perspective, when we understand that our challenges are so great that we need all of the resources available to work hand in hand. So thank you very much for that. I'd like to turn now to Luke Simmons, who is the Assistant Director of Climate Resilient Agriculture and Food through the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Mr. Simmons, today the signing of our new agreement and funding commitment, which I want to acknowledge Luke, because he helped to put this together and work it through the system. It's a great kind of commitment, and it marks an exciting step. From DFAT's perspective, what do you think the key opportunities when it comes to partnering with farmer organizations? Like, what is the value proposition, and how does this approach support Australia's broader strategy of localization?
Thank you, Kyle. Well, hello, colleagues. It's a great privilege to be here today, I have to say. I do a lot of different things in my job, quite a lot of policy stuff and high-level stuff that sometimes can seem a little bit meaningless. So it's a real privilege to actually get in the room with farmers and farmer organisations from across the region, and hear from you about what your priorities are and all the things that you're working on. I remember about 15 years ago, I did my first trip to Solomon Islands, and we went out to the top of Malaita, and we were working with Custom Garden Association and looking at the wonderful work they were doing with farmers there, including through their seed saving and sharing of planting material with their farmers. And I was happy to have the privilege of working with Custom Garden Association for 3 years while I was on posting in Solomon Islands. So I have a long experience working with farmer organisations in the Pacific and with, in more recent years, with PWAF, or Pacific Farmer Organisation. Sorry, we still like calling you PWAF. I know it's you've rebranded, but yeah, I think people know you as both now.
Yeah.
So for us, with the Australian government, we partner with a lot of different partners. You know, so obviously with government and with farmer organisations, with the private sector, which we're trying to get at these challenges in the agriculture sector through many different avenues. But the real value add I see for farmer organisations is just that outreach that you have to hundreds of thousands of farmers across the region. And then through events like this, the ability to come together and to share that knowledge and that networking. I thought the presentation today on the flower farming exchange was just fantastic, because it showed two different organisations who are part of the network working together to share their knowledge and learning from each other. We know that the challenges of climate change are real, and they're starting to bite in this region. But I also know that farmers deal with climate change or deal with weather extremes on a daily basis and on a seasonal basis. And farmers have developed ways of adapting to that. And again, I think that this opportunity to work together on a climate resilient framework for the Pacific and share that knowledge and adapt things from one place that's working well, and another farmer organisation might say, oh, we could try that. I think that's a real strength, that ability to share lessons and to build on farmer knowledge, and then also combine that with scientific knowledge. So I think there's a real strength in combining what farmers already know, taking ideas from their communities, but also from other places, from the science, and putting that together to enable us all to address this massive challenge of climate change. So thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah, I love the fact that we always say, like, seeing is believing, and being able to get out and see these organizations in their element is so much more impactful than listening to a PowerPoint presentation. And so all of you guys working in any of the countries that you're working, I encourage you, if you haven't already, find one of the farmer organizations, ask to go out into the field and see some of the work that they're doing, because I think that's where it really comes home. And again, I heard also from Luke about extending the reach, and the idea is it's not one solution. DFAT is supporting many different partners, many different initiatives, but it comes from different angles, and in this case it helps to kind of take technology and reach more people. And I think that's what this is all about, partnering for greater impact, not replacing or doing away with one approach, but this is really about extending that. So thank you. So maybe we'll try to balance a little bit of government and development partners. So I would like to now welcome the Honourable Sinai Tuitahi, the Minister of Internal Affairs for the Government of Tonga. We're very thankful that you could join us, Honourable Minister, on this busy day. We've just heard a lot of compelling stories from across the region, and we've been discussing, farmer organizations and agriculture development. And the theme, as I mentioned, is so what, now what? So I was wanting to ask any of your thoughts. What do you think all of us should take away from this discussion? Like, so what? What is the big takeaway when we've been talking about farmer organization? But more importantly, now what? What is your your thought about how all of us can move forward to not stay where we are, but how we can move forward with developing farmer organizations. So, Honorable Minister, big question. So what? Now what? Thank you.
will be able to move forward and be able to be more sustainable economically, financially, and agriculture-wise. And I think all of us here, I think anywhere else, agriculture is it's a basic need. Before we go out and trade and work, we have to eat. Food security is very important. And just we hold it in our hands. And before we talk about getting healthy by walking at the waterfront or anywhere else, we need to eat to have some energy. So that's a very vital element in moving forward, is to be able to sustain our various country with food security. And of course, we also want to make money and be able to be resilient in the coming years, because things have changed in every aspect. So yeah, I think there's the now one, how to move forward together.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think it was divine appointment for you to come today to share on this regional aspect. And in fact, we think about farmer organization, their role nationally and locally, but also what is their role regionally. And I think you described very well the commonalities, but also the limited resources that we have. And so many of our regional organizations really value that kind of regional cooperation to fill in the gaps. One country might have something that another one doesn't, and the ability to be connected is really powerful. And I think you articulated that very well, Honorable Minister. And I love how you said it is a journey, and we have cried and we have laughed, and we think that there is a longer journey ahead of us. So we're thankful for your role, and then also for your perspectives today. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We'll now go back to development partner. We're very thankful to have Seum here. So Seum comes from the International Fund for Agriculture Development, and we're very happy that IFAD has an office in the region. And this office is not just one person, as it was. Our friend Sakusa Tubuna, for about a decade, was by himself, but now they have a wonderful team based out of Suva, and Seum has been very helpful in making these links. And so, Seum, my question to you is, IFAD, and Chandra shared a little bit this morning, has this long-standing commitment to farmer organizations. It's an institutional commitment at the global level and then operationalized at the national level. In your view and from your experience, what is the comparative advantage of working through farmer organization? And how do you think governments and development partners can better align our efforts together to have a bigger impact, as IFAD always emphasizes, for the rural poor, for the smallholders? What is that comparative advantage that you see, and how can we work together better? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle. I'm also happy actually to be part of this panel. By the way, I'm standing for my country director. He just left because of a bit urgent call. Kyle, as you know, I mean, our motto is serving the rural community. Therefore, if an organization is committed to serve the rural community, by default, you may understand that we should work with the farmers' organization where the community is. One of actually our parameters, indicators I can say, is actually inclusive outreach. And when it comes to inclusive outreach, be it marginalized community groups, women or youth, I think even today we had a presentation from women group from Samoa. I think that is the right vehicle for IFAD That's one of the comparative advantages. Apart from that as well, if the other indicator is actually sustaining the benefits of its investment. If IFAD is thinking sustaining the benefits of its investment, I think we all understand that farmers' organizations are the right place to go and talk. Because farmers' organization exist. Whether the project is there or not, whether IFAD is around or not, farmers' organization will be there with their community. The other thing is actually when you see the value chain nodes as well, be it supply chain, farm management, marketing, value addition, name it, all value chain nodes. I think the efficient way to address the challenges related to these value chain nodes is from experience as well, is working with a farmers organization. If you I think I'm not pro to technology, I don't know. It's just stuck when I speak. If we talk about supplying inputs, if you would like to provide extension services, if you would like to aggregate the produces, I think a farmers organization, I think, have a comparative advantage. That's why IFAD prefers to work with all this. Apart from this as well, when it comes to crisis response, the easiest and the fastest way to address this crisis is going through farmers organization. We have example PIRAS, for instance, which is actually funded by IFAD and DFAD. I think during COVID, PIRAS supported a lot of community in the rural community actually in the Pacific in 6 countries. I think these are actually some of the comparative advantage why IFAD would like to work closely with farmers organization, including P4. Okay, I think what shall we do when it comes to working together? I think this is an example. Having a strong network, sharing experiences, sharing ideas, having a common platform. Today I was hearing farmers to farmers experience sharing. Yeah, that's great actually to share indigenous knowledge. Apart from that, what makes this platform is a bit different, having the researchers. Apart from sharing indigenous knowledge among ourselves, it is good to open up as well to bring new ideas, new technologies from the research background, which will enhance our productivity, innovation, everything, right? Ultimately, increases our resilience as well. This is, the reason that we thought. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's great to hear those perspectives, and thank you also for picking up on how we reach those marginalized communities and the inclusiveness that we've heard shared here today. I think combining our efforts in that way. Thank you also for sharing a little bit about the value chain and some of the roles that we see farmer organizations playing, getting access to inputs, aggregating. They don't all look the same, but always there is an important function that they play, and I think that that's a really great perspective, and we continue to thank IFAD for this partnership approach. It's not easy working with farmer organizations. It's not easy. It takes time, but there is a value add, and so we thank you for being patient and taking the time, having the long vision. So we'd now like to go back to another national perspective. We're very happy to have the director from the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, DARD in Vanuatu, Antoine Ravo, to be able to share a little bit from a government perspective. Mr. Ravo, we have so many challenges facing our region, and I think Vanuatu knows probably best of all about these big challenges. How do you think farmer organizations can help our farmers in the region?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the the nice refreshment on the table. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm listening with a lot of excitement and a lot of interesting discussions. I think for Vanuatu, what I see is it's kind of a pyramid where the government, we have the government, we have the farmers organization who is in between the farmers. And I think the role of the government and the farmers association and the farmers are very important, and they are responsible for each other. The government has, I think the priority role for the government is to set up the policy and the direction where we want it to be. They are the policy maker, and the farmers association, we are looking at it as a policy transformer, transforming the policy direction from the government, and we have the farmers who are the policy implementer. And I think we complement each other in terms of policy, in terms of resourcing, and our priorities, as well as the implementation down to the farmers. And the farmers are the farmers that we all work towards for. They're the same farmers, same taro farmers, same island cabbage farmers, or same fishermen that we are working towards to. And I think the role of the government is to provide an enabling environment for the farmers association or farmers organization to be able to deliver some of the roles and functions that were enabled by the government through its extension services or technical expertise to reach the small farmers. And we are all responsible to the whole value chain, linking the policy decision maker to the farmers association and the farmers implementer. I think, so what? I think we need to work smart. And today we have witnessed a very important signing ceremony here in setting a way forward for all of us, Pacific Island countries. And I'm sitting here as well learning from other farmers organizations and how we could work together. And I think from another point of view, some of our government services we could also look at into privatization of some of our services to the Farmers Association and the farmers. We have some smart farmers. We have some farmers that are still struggling. And I think we need to work smart in terms of sharing of resources, mobilizing resources, also sharing of assets that we have. For example, in Vanuatu, we have assets all throughout the 6 provinces, and sometimes some farmers association, they might not have, for example, a vehicle just to go around and visit the same farmers that we are working with. And this is very important, and we are having a good farmers network. In Vanuatu, we also have this Vanuatu Primary Producers Authority, who is in charge of registering farmers, organizing forums, and linking them to farmers associations, farmers organization, as well as market. The next question is now what? Yeah, I think most farmers are in the informal sector, and they are lacking the capacity, they are lacking basic understanding and reporting or able to write project proposal. For Vanuatu perspective, we are now wanted to introduce the agriculture permit system, where we wanted to move out farmers who are in the informal sector to more formal sector, giving them some sort of recognition with some special treatments where they could have from the government or the farmers association, farmers organization, giving them some incentive for them to grow, but also giving some conditions. We have this issue of most of our farmers moving to Australia and New Zealand, working there, but we wanted to keep them there, providing them incentive for them to grow. And some of the incentive will be driven by the farmers organization. And it is very important for the government not to overregulate the farmers, but to provide them some space to move out from informal to formal sector, where they could also be able to sustain their productivity from the farmers level, and also working with the farmers associate organization and the government to be more profitable, to be more resilient, and to be more focus oriented in terms of food security and livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. There were so many good practical examples in what you shared. This idea of some functions of government being able to privatize or hand them off to the farmer organizations, the sharing of assets out in the rural areas, which could go both ways. Sometimes a farmer organization might have an asset, sometimes government, and this idea that these are all the same farmers, that we are not talking about different, and then also I love your illustration of that pyramid and kind of thinking about the really important role of government in setting policy, the enabling environment, but then who's going to carry that policy out? So I think you articulated that very well, and I think again we hear about the challenges of being in so many islands and being so disconnected and using whatever assets we have. Okay, I'm going to come back to our panel with one last round. So we always say farmers have their say. We always want to talk about farmers bringing their voice, but we also want to be good listeners. And so we don't have all of our members here, but we want to take one pass, and we'd like to ask this question. What is one recommendation you have for national farmer organizations and even us at the regional level to take where we are now to the next level? We acknowledge that there is a lot of institutional growth that needs to happen within our members. And also there's a lot of farmers that are not even part of farmer organizations. So we want to listen now, and we would like to ask you what is, maybe if you could distill it maybe to one recommendation for that you see as being an important step for farmer organizations at the national and regional level.
I mean, I think there's so much that you do well, but I mean, in the Pacific, there is that challenge of distance, and there's that challenge of cost of bringing everyone together. So I think, I mean, we would love to see you grow the network of farmers, so bring in more farmer groups and more members. But it's how do you, you know, enable those voices to be heard and to learn from each other. So I think I mean, I'm very impressed with your use of ChatGPT, and I'm surprised it can read my handwriting, but I think, you know, just adopting some more online, I know you do this already, but thinking about how you can use technology as well for sharing, and also I think it was Wibdi talked about, you know, developing an app for selling. So some of those exciting, there are challenges with technology, but some of the exciting things that can happen through technology as well. And if farmer organisations in the Pacific can adopt those, it might help to really extend your work further.
That's a fantastic recommendation, keeping our eye on technologies especially to overcome you know, this isolation and then we wanting to grow, but we know bringing people together is not cheap. So I think that's really important function. Thank you for that.
Thank you. So from my side, it's I mean, I didn't hear, I've never heard of PFON before. So when I clicked that video you sent me, then I realized that, you know, PFON is a network that you know, farmers or organizations can really, you know, tap into to get fundings and to, you know, a lot can be done in those and with those organizations, but they just don't know the right path to you know, to tap into those things. So maybe just to, you know, reach out more to more of the Pacific countries, and particularly the northern Pacific Islands. And, you know, I don't want to say we've been neglected, but you know, you know, just maybe reach out more to more Pacific Island countries.
Fantastic, and absolutely, we hear you. There are many farmer organizations that are not connected and that maybe don't even know about this network, and how can we reach out, and also, yeah, thinking we do spend most of our time and resources, when I say we collectively in the South Pacific, and I think that having been in this region, the North Pacific, seeing these challenges, but also the opportunities, as he shared, the Laura Farmers Association is doing great work, and so how can we bring them to learn from them and to really expand this regionalism? So thank you for that challenge, and I think it's an important one. Sayum?
Thank you, Kyle. I think my recommendation is at two levels. The first one is short term, actually. For short term, I think for PFON, it is good to focus on mobilizing more resources so that you support in the capacity buildings of FOs. Then, the long term, I think like 20 years down the road, this farmers organization should transform themselves, I mean, their organization, right? Therefore, rather than focusing only on the production, input, supply, all these, it is good to transform this farmers organization perhaps to multi-purpose farmers organization so that they can stand by themselves, advocate for themselves, challenge the government, challenge development partners with their, I mean, sisters organization as well in long term. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, so mobilize more resources to strengthen the farmer organizations themselves, and then look at transforming the national farmer organization. You know, even when we first set up, so Steve Hazelman is in the room, he was there in the very beginning, we told ourselves a measure of success for PFON is if in 20 years, PFON doesn't need to be there anymore. A measure of success of our regional network is if we strengthen the farmer organizations so well that there's no need anymore for a regional farmer organization. And I think that goal still resonates. And we always talk about PFON and Pacific Farmer Organizations because we rebranded, because we don't want to build a big regional organization. To be frank, we have too many big regional organizations. So we rebranded to Pacific Farmer Organizations so that the emphasis is on the local farmer organizations. That's where we want the growth. We don't need another huge regional organization. We need stronger local organizations, as you say, empowered and transformed. And I think that's an important investment area. Honorable Minister, any recommendations for us?
Are we still on the farmer service?
Yeah, in general, I think we're here, and I think Sayum has thinking us 20 years. You know, what are some things that you would like us to bring back to the network?
I have 3 C's. Okay. Communication, cooperation, coordination. If we keep it, we'll achieve more than what we have now. And especially on a timely basis. We are here for the farmers. We're not here for ourselves. We are here for the farmers. And coordination, communication, and cooperation. And not only between us and them, but also at regional level. And yeah, I think this, sometimes if we forget them, and then we do our own thing, and we don't go back to them and see what do you want. We'll go somewhere else. So that's why I don't have reasons to do.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think just to pick up on the minister's idea, a strong farmer organization is one that is talking to their members. Not just putting up a number that says we have this many farmers, but that you have those communication, those cooperation. And I think this is a challenge for all of our farmer organizations. You are only strong if you are really consulting and servicing, meeting the needs of your members. So thank you for that, Honorable Minister. And Angela?
Okay, thank you. Partnership between government, farmers organization and farmers. I think this is one important area that as a government institution we wanted to see comparative advantage. I think from Vanuatu experience we have a lot of islands, but I think in the future if particular there's a core activity for the farmers organization, but if there's some specialization in some specific area, because it comes with cost as well for, I think, for operationalizing some of the farmers organization. We have the farmers organization, and also another level down is the farmers association, and it comes with a lot of cost, which the government always get the risk of sustaining their productivity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director. I think that's another really important practical point in that cooperation and reducing costs. If you could just join me giving a round of applause to our panel. Thank you. You guys can take a seat over here. Okay, we are going to finish on time and maybe even a little bit early. But we don't want to leave the room without all of us answering this question, so what, now what? So I'm just going to make sure, does everybody have a sticky note? Okay, everybody needs a sticky note. Actually, we're going to just do one last little exercise, and then we'll let you guys all go for dinner or drinks or drinks and then dinner, whatever it is. So if everybody can have a sticky note, please. Okay. So what, now what? I think it's great that the development partners and our government representatives were able to kind of reflect and make some recommendations. Our farmer organizations are here listening as well. So I want to ask everybody in the room, you've just invested about 4 hours of your time here, which is quite a long time given all of the other priorities. I would like you to just reflect on one action that you can take as a result of what you've heard here today. From whatever your background is in research, NGO, development partner, what is one action you can take as a result of what you heard? Maybe the farmer organizations want to glean something from those recommendations or whatever. And then I'm going to collect. If you have a few, you can bring them as well. And we're going to stick them up here at on this commitment tree. It's kind of our, you don't have to put your name if you don't want to. But I'm really just interested to hear what is one action that we can take as a result of all of this sharing about the impacts of partnering with farmer organizations. If you've written yours down, you can put your hand up. I'll try not to embarrass you, but I might read a few of them off. I'll mix them up so we don't know who it came from. Huh? What is one action I can take as a result of what I've heard? Eh? Room full of action people. Oh. Hey, we got one action. I'm going to reach out to and link with a local farmer organization in all our health centers, in our agriculture projects. In every investment project I am involved in designing, I will seek to engage and benefit from farmer organizations. One action, know your local farmers and support them in ways that they need. This was really a good one we heard from a number of people. We have to know who it is that we are serving and to know what they need. That's powerful. At the national level, find out who is a member of PIFON, who is not. Great. From a farmer organization, improve the capacity of our young farmers for the sustainability of our farmer organization. Ooh, big challenge, eh? If we don't have that next generation coming up, not only we don't have farmers, we don't have farmer organizations. Link more farmer organizations from the North Pacific into the network. See, David, we're having... oh, that's yours as well? Okay. Okay, fantastic. Oh, thank you. Oh, as a researcher, one action is to be able to translate the findings of my research back to farmers through farmer organizations in a simple way they can understand, sharing the voice of the local farmers. Great action item. Support capacity building and resource mobilization. That's fantastic. Everybody plays a different role. Some are main actors, some are support actors, all needed. Oh, in the back over there. Ooh, right. To help train farmers and researchers in community-based research and doing monitoring and evaluation. Yeah. You know, a lot of our farmer organizations, they're keen to do more monitoring and evaluation, and they would love to have more training, more capacity building, so that they can actually capture and share their impact. So I think that's a very ripe area needed, is that local capacity building in monitoring and evaluation. Thank you for whoever shared that. To extend the reach of the project, inclusive with farmer organizations. Ooh, a challenge there about decentralized research through farmer organizations. Commitment to do more networking and exchange. Fantastic. Any more action? Any more actions? Oh, please.
My action was to engage, more engagement with government so that they can see us as one of their implementing agencies, because government can't be policy maker, implementer, as well as a monitor and evaluator simultaneously. So there's an opportunity that we can all tap into, right, Ponu?
Fantastic, yeah, absolutely. That's a great action from a farmer organization. We know that there's willingness from government, but we have to make the time to go and find those areas of cooperation. Okay. That one action is the documentation of success stories from farmers using ICT platforms. It was great to be reminded about technology today and the importance of that. Any other action items? Anybody else got any other action items? Okay. Well, this is fantastic. I think we've been able to hear from the farmer organizations and then hear what resonated with you. And I think that it's great to see that there are these important areas that we talked about, the multiplier effect, about extending the reach, the investment in infrastructure and why that's needed, but also the investment in diversity and enhancing farming systems. We also had a lot of people challenged in the way that they think, and I think that's amazing. You know, my pledge is to be a lifelong learner. Every week I want to learn something new. I want to challenge something and do something a little bit better. So I think it's great that everyone was able to challenge your thinking a little bit. And then we have a wonderful series of commitments. So I'm going to hand it over to Angela, but I just really want to thank our partners, EFAD and DFAT. I want to thank our government representatives. I know that there was a lot of competing time, but your time and your presence here is really like a strong indication that you value, you know, the work of farmer organizations, and of course our farmers and our partners and new friends that I'm keen to get to know more. So I just want to say thank you very much, and I'm going to hand it over to Angela.
Thank you so much, Kyle. A lot of discussion this afternoon, and we're going to bring the afternoon to the close. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. It's been a long 4 hours, we know, but we really appreciate your time, as Kyle said. In closing this session, we'd just like to thank the government of Tonga, with Lord Whakawhanoa, our chief guest. He had to depart early. Likewise with the Australian High Commissioner, we really appreciate their time. Lofan for the beautiful prayer at the beginning of the session to bring it all together. We also acknowledge EFAD, the EU, the OACPS. Very little said about the OACPS, but they were also very much of the effort for ACP project, and we recognize their contribution as a partner. We thank DFAT, our Tongan farmer organizations, GrowFed, Modi, and Nishi. Without their assistance, today wouldn't have been possible, so we really thank them for their support on the ground. The respective ministers who are here throughout the session, government secretaries, the government representatives, we also thank the Pacific community, SPC, for making us, for inviting us to be a part of this important event. We'd like to acknowledge our PFO members who are not only those who aren't here, as well as those who are here and have given of their time to share their experiences so that we can learn from them as well. We had this live streaming, so we'd like to acknowledge the services of Broadcom Broadcasting for their service. The entire PFO team abroad for all the support. Although we have some of our members on the ground, we have members of the Secretariat working in the background, making today's event possible. One and all, Rinaksarva Levu Malo Apito. Thank you.